Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to the Blood Bowl for tonight's contest. You join a capacity crowd packed with members of every race from across the known world, all howling like banshees in anticipation of tonight's game. Oh, and yes, there are some actual banshees. Well, kickoff is in about 20 minutes' time, so we've just got time to recap the rules of the game before the battle starts. Your match commentators for tonight are Jim and myself, Bob Bifford. Evening, Jim.
Thank you, Bob. Well, good evening, and boy, are you folks in for a great night of top-class sporting entertainment. But first of all, for those at home who are unfamiliar with the rules, here's how the game is transmitted to the folks at home and, of course, played.
Let me explain that, Jim. As any Blood Bowl fan knows, each Blood Bowl match is transmitted out to thousands of Blood Bowl fans with the device Campaign for Real Arcanery, the camera that was developed by the Guilds of Magic. A bound spirit in a box is allowed to look out in one direction only at the Blood Bowl field, and his mental image is then transmitted by teams of magicians using the spell Cablevision.
And nowadays, we've got a lot of cameras, Bob. Since transmitting Blood Bowl matches became a huge success, a lot more broadcasting guilds emerged on the market, such as NBC,
Necromancer's Broadcasting Circle,
Channel 7, the CBS,
Crystal Ball Service,
to name a few. But since ABC...
Association of Broadcasting Conjurers.
Yes, thank you, Bob. Since the ABC won the franchise in 2486, when it was renewed for the 30th time, they have exclusive broadcasting rights nowadays.
That's too true, Jim. But let's explain for the folks at home what Blood Bowl the game really is. Blood Bowl is an epic conflict between two teams of heavily armored and quite insane warriors. Players pass, throw, or run with the ball, attempting to get it to the other end of the pitch, the end zone. Of course, the other team must try to stop them and recover the ball for their side. If a team gets the ball over the line into the opponent's end zone, it's called a touchdown. The team that scores the most touchdowns by the end of the match wins the game and are declared Blood Bowl champions. How do they do it?
It's like this, Bob. Two teams set up 11 players on the pitch. 11 is the sacred number of Nuffle, as any hardcore Blood Bowl fan would know. Today we're going to watch the Gouged Eye against the Reichland Reavers. This is yet another grudge match between the two teams.
And it seems the teams are entering the pitch now. Shall we get started, Jim? The coin is flipped high in the air, and the brave goblin referee announced that the Reichland Reavers will be receiving this half.
Right, let's get started. As any coach will tell you, Bob, a team's starting formation is vitally important. Here we can see an example of the Gouged Eye's famous 5-4-2, or deep defense formation. This formation is used by the Eye against fast-moving or agile teams like Skaven or Elves, some would argue with limited success.
You said it, Jim. Notice how the Gouged Eye has made sure that there are no gaps in their line for opposing players to run through. Every square is covered by an orc player or one of his tackle zones.
That's absolutely right, Bob. Each square around a player is a tackle zone. And it looks like, as an added insurance, the Orcs have kept two players back deep, close to their own end zone, so they can catch any enemy players lucky enough to dodge their way through the Orc front line.
Jim, let's not forget that a team can only field 2 players in each wide zone, and they always have to field a minimum of 3 players on the halfway line, which coaches refer to as the line of scrimmage.
Okay, Bob, it seems like Reichland Reavers have set up their offensive lineup and that the Gouged Eye are ready to kick the ball.
It sure does, Jim. When both teams have finished their setup, the coach of the kicking team places the ball in any square in the opponent's half of the pitch.
That's right, Bob. He can even place it in their end zone if he likes. After placing the ball, it will scatter in random direction, though, only up to a maximum of 7 squares in any of the 8 possible directions.
Those kicks are sure inaccurate, Jim. That's why coaches sometimes prefer to field a player with the kick skill, since it will cut the number of possible squares the ball will scatter by half. But more on those skills later.
That's right, Bob. The kick skill sure is useful, because if the ball bounces off the pitch or into the kicking team's half, the receiving team is awarded a touchback and can give the ball to any player in their team. There goes the little referee with his bone whistle. It's time to rumble!
And look at that kick, Jim. What a perfect kick by Truck Elf Splitter. But what's up with the fans, Jim?
As you know, Bob, all kinds of things can happen during a Blood Bowl match. A team may make an inspired play, or raucous fans might throw a rock at one of the opposing team's players, or even invade the pitch. Coaches refer to them as kick-off events. There are lots of different outcomes. In this case, the cheering fans seem to have gone wild with anticipation.
Right, Jim. Keep an eye on those fans. It seems Reichland Reavers got inspired by their fans cheering and got an extra re-roll in this half. No doubt their cheerleaders got the crowd going. Equally important is their assistant coaches and fame, fan factor, during the kickoff events.
And that extra team re-roll sure is handy for the Reavers, Bob. It allows them to re-roll one dice roll per turn during a half. Re-rolls are very important in Blood Bowl, as coaches quickly discover. There are two types of re-rolls, team re-rolls and player re-rolls. In either case, a re-roll allows you to re-roll all the dice that produced any one result.
It sure is useful, Jim. So let's continue with the match, shall we? It seems like the Reichland Reavers thrower, Fat Midbrot, is getting ready to pick up the ball, and the ball is just within his reach since he got movement allowance 6.
Oh, take a look at that, Bob. He almost failed to pick up the ball. Luckily enough for the Reavers, Fat Midbrot has the sure hand skill, which allowed him to re-roll the pickup roll, and he made it on the second attempt.
True, Jim. Sure hands does come in handy at times. Maybe we should mention that the agility table is used for more than just pickups, Jim. It is also used to work out the success or failure of a number of different actions in Blood Bowl, including dodging, picking up the ball, and throwing or catching the ball, to name but a few. Each action has its own set of modifiers, too, depending on how difficult the action is. It's these modifiers to the dice roll that affect whether or not the action is a success.
That's right, Bob. This all might sound complicated, but it's really easy to understand it all after a few games. For those that wish to broaden their wisdom about Blood Bowl, I recommend taking a look at the official Blood Bowl rulebook.
You said it, Jim. But look at that. He's not done. He's about to throw a short pass to Griff Oberwald.
That's a risky play so early in the turn, Bob. Usually, coaches try to perform the easier actions first during their turn, because if anyone fails an action, it's the end of their turn. In this case, it's fairly safe, since Fat Midbrot also has the pass skill, which allows him to re-roll a failed result.
Still a risky play, Jim, since the thrower has agility of 3, which means that he must roll a 4 or more to be on target. No modifiers apply to the D6 roll because he is not in any tackle zones, and the modifier for short pass is +0.
And he rolls a 4 and makes it. And Griff Oberwald reaches for the ball and rolls a 2. He catches the ball. What an amazing play so early in the game, Bob. For those that wish to view the agility table for passing the ball and catching the ball, we refer yet again to the Blood Bowl rulebook.
Sure is amazing, Jim. Regarding actions, such as passing, handoffs, and blitz moves, these actions can only be performed by one player per turn. However, it can be any player that attempts these actions. So don't worry about the names of the player positions. They just help illustrate that blitzers are just better at blitzing, throwers are just better at passing the ball, and catchers are just better at catching the ball. Now back to the action on the pitch. The Reavers are trying to punch a hole in the Gouged Eye's defense. Look at that, Jim. Zug, their ogre, prepares to smash the Gouged Eye's black orc on the scrimmage line. Rip Sorepain.
They better stay clear of that big guy, Bob. He has a strength value of 5, and in this case, he is blocking the black orc, Rip Sorepain, who only has a strength of 4. Since the ogre has more strength than his opponent, it means he can roll 2 block dice and choose which one to use. For you folks at home, you can check the player's strengths roll table for further information concerning what effects a player's strength have when blocking.
And look at that, Jim. He rolls defender down, and the defender stumbles. He uses the defender down result to push Rip Sorepain back a square and knock him flat on his back in the mud. And whenever a player hits the ground, you make an armor roll to see if his armor protects him from injury.
Lucky for that black orc, he's got some heavy armor on him, Bob. Oh, wait! It looks like Zug managed to break the black orc's armor and has caused a knockout result on the injury roll. That's because Zug has the extremely powerful Mighty Blow skill, which adds +1 to your armor roll. The Reavers fans go wild! After all, it's called Blood Bowl!
And brutality on the pitch? We like that, Jim. Seems like the Reavers smashed up an opening, too. Look at Jean-Paul Musen. The Reavers catcher is running right through their defense. I smell a touchdown soon, Jim.
Not so fast, Bob. He still needs to make a dodge roll to bypass the Gouged Eye's solid defense.
That's right, Jim. And while he squeezes through the defense, he rolls a 3 and successfully dodges through, since he needs to roll a 3 or more. With an agility value of 3, he requires a roll of 4 or more to be successful. But since Jean-Paul Musen dodges to a square that has no tackle zones, he receives a +1 bonus dodge modifier when attempting the dodge roll. Remember, it's always the square that you are dodging to that determines the modifiers. That's some nice dodging, Jim.
Too right, but look, it looks like Griff Oberwald will dodge through and make a go for it to hand off the ball to Jean-Paul Musen. And just like every action in Blood Bowl, a go for it can be treacherous, Bob.
That's all true, Jim. While all players can go for it 2 additional squares of movement, they need to roll a d6 to see if they can make it. On a 1, they will fall flat on the ground in the square where they failed, and therefore must make an armor roll, and it will cause a team turnover.
Some high-quality play there, Bob. Griff Oberwald dodges through and goes for it to the catcher, and Jean-Paul Musen successfully catches the handoff. Now, a handoff is always considered as an accurate pass, so the receiving player simply needs to pass an agility roll. Our catcher, with an agility of 3, therefore catches the ball on a roll of 3 or more.
That's all nice, Jim, but I want to see more action on the pitch. And here we go. It looks like the human blitzer, Matthias Meyer, is getting ready to blitz that orc, while Griff Oberwald is assisting him.
That's right, Bob. Once per turn, a player on the moving team is allowed to make a special blitz move. A blitz allows the player to move and make a block. The block may be made at any point during the move, but costs 1 square of movement for the player to make.
one tough blitzer, Jim. Since Griff Oberwald assisted him, he had +1 strength, giving him a strength value of 4. So he gets to roll 2 block dice and choose the result. Fortunately, he has rolled both down twice. But fortunately, Matthias Meyer has the block skill, which allows him to ignore the both down result. But since poor old Truck Elf Splitter does not have the block skill, he goes down. What a blitz he made, Jim.
Indeed, Bob. The player may carry on moving after the effects of the block have been worked out, if he has any squares of movement left. It seems like he is moving up next to the catcher to protect him.
But look, Jim, what is Peter Von Gullet trying to do? It looks like he will fall over and cause a turnover. Normally, a turn only ends when all the players in the team have performed an action. However, certain events cause the turn to end before all the players have taken an action.
Turnover! Not even the team reroll helped them there, Bob. This doesn't look good for the Reavers, since Jean-Paul Moussin is wide open for a blitz. The Orcs don't waste any time, and there goes Krug Painspear, the gouged eyes star, Orc Blitzer. He just blitzed up the pitch, and now he's going to throw a block at Jean-Paul Moussin, the Reavers catcher. Krug Painspear got a strength of 3 compared to Jean-Paul's 2, which means Krug Painspear can roll 2 block dice and choose which one he will use.
Did you see that, Jim? Since Krug Painspear has the tackle skill, Jean-Paul Moussin is knocked down with a defender stumbles, even though he has the dodge skill, which would normally allow him to regard that as a simple pushback. What a blitz! That looks like a spleen gone awry. Brutal and bloody just the way we like it. And the gouged eye fans go wild. It looks like the Reavers will have to use their apothecary to stitch up that wound. And there they come, running onto the pitch, carrying out the lifeless body.
That's assuming the apothecary can mend him, Bob. The apothecary allows... Bob, I'm not so sure about that. He might be a good thrower when it comes to throwing it downfield, but it looks like Cannonball Benny is about to attempt a risky pass to Varag Gaulchua, and Griff Oberwald is in a great position to make an interception attempt. Can't he see him?
That's right, Jim. The crowd holds its breath as Griff leaps to intercept the pass. He needs an agility roll of 3 or more. However, a player making an interception attempt suffers a -2 modifier, which means that Griff will need a score of 5 or 6 to catch the ball. The dice is rolled and comes up with a 6. Griff catches the ball. It's an interception! And just listen to those Reavers fans, Jim. They're going wild! That's a turnover for the gouged eye.
And there goes Griff Oberwald, sprinting down the field to score Reichland Reavers' first touchdown. And listen to those fans, Bob, howling like banshees and rabid wolves.
What a touchdown, Jim! Did you see that? Amazing! But the game is far from over. This is just warming up. 6 turns remain of the first half, and then we got a full second half with 8 more turns before this game is over.
boy, Bob. This'll be interesting. May Nuffle always bless his dice.
Jim and Bob here, bringing you yet another Blood Bowl encounter.
I just can't get enough of this sport, Bob, and I imagine that it's the same for our viewers.
They love it, Jim. And we'll soon be providing even more bloody images, thanks to our new fist cam technology.
Yes, it's amazing how many cameras you can build into a knuckle duster. Oh no, we have a blizzard moving in.
Yeah, looks like it, Jim. Teams will have to watch that ice on the pitch.
Not only that, Bob, it looks like they can't throw the ball too far either.
Three, two, one,
Basta!
He's recovered the ball.
Just look at the fans. They're red hot. A majority of supporters reckon that the league should take measures to prevent the small minority of peaceful fans from watching a match from the terraces.
They've got a point. If they don't want to join in the fun, they might as well stay home and watch it on Cablevision. Now he swatted him like a fly.
More like punched him square in the face like a fly. The first quality required of an orc is to be able to hit hard and, if possible, not to think. The latter is considered a nasty flaw. Finally, there's one that lets his biceps do the talking.
Yeah, but from his opponent's point of view, it was a short conversation.
Griff Oberwald said, and I quote, "Thank goodness that the humans are around to raise the level of the game." What do you think?
Well, that was true a few years back, but today him and his buddies are no longer at the top of the rankings. Seeing stars now.
Funny for someone that wasn't really that bright. He sent him down for a chat with the astrogranite.
Corruption so widespread that the Referees Guild has set up rules concerning where, when, and how one can accept a bribe.
Under an agreement signed last season, clubs are not allowed to offer less than the going rate.
He trampled on his head.
Accidents will happen. Right hook was worthy of a black orc.
You're telling me it'll take a while to get over it.
We can congratulate the Junior Paravon Stink Team, who have won the Junior Dungeon Bowl for the second year running.
Well done, Spawnlings. And it's interesting to know that the names of several of these youngsters are already on the lips of many of the major team coaches.
He checked that move.
Made him look stupid, you mean? Incoming!
Well, it is a violent sport.
Doesn't look like he'll be getting back on his feet too soon.
He should be up before next week's match.
Ouch! Have a nice sleep.
Little baby gets his medicine and he's having a little nap.
And today's question, which will allow one lucky viewer to win a year's subscription to Spike Magazine, is which player won the 85, 87, 91, and 99 Blood Bowls with the Reichland Reavers? Was it Griff Oberwald, his wife, or his future son?
Easy peasy.
Especially as two of them never touched the ball.
Things are hotting up.
Oh, yes, the fans are already on their feet.
We don't see much of the Heroes of Law these days.
I don't know.
For any spectators who aren't aware, the Heroes of Law hope to show the world a better way by honest, strategic play on the pitch.
It's probably a good thing we don't see them.